Yes, good morning everyone. It's one of those moments that probably you like to think about, almost caught off guard, trying to just get through what's happening in sports. But good morning everyone anyway. My name is George Gozi and you're watching Premier Sport. Malamusiza mwena abalaba show ku machagano yemuli jonna yonna jemuli abe jinja abe mukono abe kawempe nchimanyi mwena mula program. Never nanga batero okuntumira ka babera ku Nandos. Actually I have a couple of friends who wake up to watch the show. I have a couple of friends at the police station at CPS, a couple of Afandes. I send greetings to you Afandes who are watching the show right now, and so many friends who are in the Paragon Hospital and so many places who are watching the show. I must acknowledge that you guys do a very good job. You make this show happen, and of course it's good to know that you're watching. Now today we've got pretty much the same discussions we'll have, mostly about Champions League football. Yesterday I did allude to the fact that Bayern Munich was too hot to handle, and like they say, too cold to freeze. They simply lived up to that expectation. Bayern were simply electric. Like I said, they were too professional. We'll be discussing all that on this show. But what happened to mighty Arsenal, a side that at one point could not lose a single game in a season? And of course, right now, they have become a whipping side, the whipping boys of football. We'll be discussing all that. And of course, we'll discuss AC Milan taking on Barcelona today, together with Galatasaray taking on Schalke of Germany. But let's try and look at what the newspapers have to offer in the local dailies and some of the latest sports news. Probably we'll have to start with the Super League. Yesterday, a couple of matches played in the FIFA Super League where we saw Proline losing out to Kidayanga. That was very disappointing for Proline. A debutant side beating Proline is not something that probably you would have expected, especially when Proline is playing at home. You thought that that was a very bad result. But also, if you got a shocker, I mean, you should get another shocker. Bidco beating Water. Bidco is slowly but surely improving in the league as they managed to beat Water 2-1, while Aram Roses managed yet another draw against Victors. Those are some of the matches that were played over yesterday, and of course in the league. But interesting stories that have linked Bobby Williamson to a move to Kenya. In fact, today the latest news is that Bobby could sign for Kenya national team. Now, how true is that? Very controversial news coming out. But let's find out what the back pages have to offer. We'll start with Bukedde. Now, Bukedde tugamba chi. Eyogedde ku mwana mulenzi oyo bamuyita Boateng. Muganda wa Derek Boateng akusambira Bayern Munich atakusambira mu German. Bamuyita Kevin. Katude mtumulabe katono. Kevin Prince Boateng yomu ku bazanyi AC Milan kati kwesibidde olukoba naye bamugerezganyaza nani? Bamugerezganya ne mighty Lionel Messi oba katonda w'omupiira babayita ba small gods of football ye Lionel Messi. AC Milan egenda kubettunka ne Barcelona. Abasinga bagamba eno final mu final oba kitegeeza ki? Naye nga tusuubira nti omupiira agenda kubeera munyuvu nnyo olw'ensonga nti AC Milan nsubira tejja kuwangula league ya Serie A, naye AC Milan erina kye bayita history mu kikopo ekya Champions League. Yo history bagirina, bawangudde bikopo 7 naye bagamba ku luno bakwatagana ne Barcelona. Barcelona teyagala kumanya bikopo bye balina. Yo Barcelona egamba nti gwe mutuleetera gwe tukuba omupiira. Jukira Barcelona yemu ku side esinga okupasinga omupiira kakati wenjogerera. Actually ziri sides bbiri. Mulimu Barcelona, mulimu Bayern Munich, mulimu ngabo zitambulira ddala, mulimu ne team ya Real Madrid. Ze team ezisinga okuwenja omupiira. Bagamba nti buli kasubi ku kisaawe kafuna omukisa okona ku mupiira. Zezo team bwese bwezisamba. Naye ku luno tugenda kulaba team ebbiri ezikwataganye nga tusubira nti omupiira agenda kuba munyuvu nnyo. Bwetyo Bukedde bwe tugamba. Naye ate mu New Vision we have something completely different. Something that would excite so many Ugandan fans, but will also be a surprise. Is that a football pitch? Is that a basketball pitch? Stadium? It is not. Guess what? It is a baseball field stadium. State of the art. The Japanese have offered a grant yet again to the Ugandan government on Gayaza Road. It's cost a lot of money, about $120,000 US. That's a grant from the Japanese government. Now, does Uganda have a history of baseball? Your guess is as good as mine. But the sports that we have interest, like like boxing and football, there's so much politics that now the youngsters are beginning to run away from those sports. I think the administrators of football and boxing should be listening to this. People are saying, we are tired of your drama. We want to move on to sports that are progressive. That's why, an ultra-modern stadium will be completed in November. And believe me, the next generation of youngsters will not like football. They will go for baseball. Baseball, because baseball is an international sport, of course, very huge in America. So many kids in America play baseball, and of course, it's your maybe equivalent of cricket, but it's baseball. It's very exciting that the Japanese government has taken over the initiative. How I wish there would be another stadium for football. It's a bit of a disappointment, but if all wishes were horses, then probably we'll have another Nambole, which we need anyway. Now, monitor. Let's get into the monitor. Bobby misses out on Harambee Stars job. Now, these are two controversial stories, of course, that are happening. According to other sources, Bobby today might just sign for Kenya. But of course, according to certain section of the news, Fufa has come out and of course retaliated to the fact that Bobby is not going anywhere. Bobby is the Crane's coach, and end of story. But wherever there is a smoke, like they say, there is a fire. So maybe there is some truth to it. Maybe he was linked. Of course, he was linked to take over Kenya. Uganda is favorite. Now, favorite in what? Of course, we are talking about cricket this time. You probably want to find out what the ICC Regional Division 1 2020 Championship, of course, rolls out this weekend, and Ugandan is the favorite. And of course, that's what the local dailies have to offer. We'll now switch our attention to international sport, where of course most of you have been following the story of the South African runner, the man of course who was very disappointing, Oscar Pistorius, who is now facing a jail time of back-to-back life sentence for killing the wife or the girlfriend in cold blood. And of course, it's a very disappointing story that the South African now will save most of his time in jail. He has tried to apply for bail, but things have really gone astray. And of course, the youngster will not live out to see his career. He's struggled so much as a runner. He was belittled for the kind of situation he was, because he didn't have feet. They had to put artificial feet on him, and artificial legs, sorry. But for some reason, over the years, he had become one of the legends in South African track and field. But when you look at the story that happened over the week, it's so disappointing that the South African now will have to spend most of his time in jail. Remember, he did not have a child, he was not married, but he had so much money. And this is the danger, by the way, for so many athletes at the moment. They have so much money, they don't even know what to use it for. But that's the story of the South African Oscar, and that's the sad story for the young man. And getting into Champions League football, I'll start with the game between FC Porto and Malaga. We saw a very exciting match. FC Porto, remember, are a bigger side when it comes to Europe. But for Malaga, their record was really telling. They had not lost a single match in the Champions League. And of course, they were looking very, very good, Malaga. When you look at the way they played the game, it does suggest the strength of Malaga. Of course, boasting of so many recycled players, like I talked about yesterday, the likes of Willie, the likes of Wilkington, the Brazilian, Martin Di Michaelis, who was a former Bayern Munich player, the Argentine, Sergio Sanchez, of course, who has played at centre-back, the likes of Joaquin. You remember Joaquin, who used to play for Real Betis, the Spanish international, who was later replaced by Portillo, another Real Madrid player. And of course, we saw Jeremy Toulalan playing in that midfield for Malaga, together with Julio Baptista. If you remember Arsenal, he was a former Arsenal player. The likes of Isco and, of course, Roque Santa Cruz. Those are the players who featured for Malaga, and it looked like Malaga was really having a go at this game. But in all fairness, I must say that FC Porto really showed a lot of character. When you look at some of the players that they have, for instance, when you look at their goalkeeper, Hilton, I think Hilton is one of the most experienced goalkeepers in the Champions League at the moment. together with the likes of Dinalo, the likes of Alexandro Otamendi. That's of course the Argentine. But what a goal, what a beauty that was scored by FC Porto. And it's the only goal that was scored on the night. Of course, we expected a lot to go for Malaga, but some of the chances they created were not up to the task. And of course, FC Porto was too good for Malaga and managed to register a win in the first leg. It's not yet over when you look at the way the game progressed, but I must agree that Malaga did not show up. I think it was a little bit of a big stage for Malaga. Sometimes you get stage fright when you play games like this in Europe. At some point, I thought the fairy tale of Malaga was also going to end. I mean, you've heard about teams that go all the way and of course qualify. Look at that pass from Lucio Gonzalez. I mean, a wonderful, wonderful player. And of course, when you look at the ball possession, it was all FC Porto. 62 against 38. That was a telling story. Shots on goal, FC Porto had 16 shots on target compared to only 1. 11 corners in the match against only 2 for Malaga. Now that tells you the story. Fouls committed, of course, it was more of Malaga because they were the ones on the defensive. But I must say that it was such a fantastic match that we watched yesterday. And for some of you who had your predictions, you probably got them right. Now, getting into the big match of the night, we saw Bayern Munich visiting the Emirates. And for Arsenal, it was a case of redemption. They needed redemption. They needed to really put up all the bad omens that had happened in the FA Cup. They needed to win a game, but they were facing a side that was not interested in really having any mercy for Arsenal. And when you look at the first goal scored by the German international Toni Kroos, it tells the story. The goal was scored with so much power and technique, and that's Bayern Munich for you. Arsenal had started very brightly, but of course in the Champions League, if you don't take your chances, you are punished. A wonderful and of course an acrobatic goal from Thomas Muller made it completely difficult. Look at the goalkeeper of Arsenal, Chesney, of course parrying that ball, but look at the technique for the youngster Thomas Muller, who is having a wonderful season. And at that point, Arsenal were resorting to simply bad tackles, and of course they never had a shot on goal. This must go on record. Arsenal did not have a shot on goal in the first half. And of course, Podolski there scoring what you'd call a consolation goal. A mistake from Manuel Neuer, and of course a goal that shouldn't have been a goal for Arsenal, because you could not see Arsenal creating chances. Maybe you would think in the last quarter of the second half, yes, Arsenal came good a little bit. They tried to fight back, but the experience of Bayern Munich and of course the quality, I talked about the word quality, which must be underlined. The quality of Bayern Munich, if you can substitute Ribery and bring in Robben, if you can get out a player like Gustavo, bring in Gustavo, and of course there's so much quality in this Bayern Munich side. Now, what does it mean for Arsenal? 3-1 simply means that Arsenal have already packed their bags out of the Champions League. They will not make it to the quarterfinal unless the unthinkable happens at the Allianz Arena. I do not think Arsenal even have a slight chance. I said yesterday that Arsenal's chances are slim to nothing. I told you about the statistics of Bayern Munich. They came into this game when they have only conceded 7 goals in the Bundesliga. Now, how many has Arsenal conceded in the league? They have conceded over 27 goals in the league. Now, when you compare those statistics, it simply tells you that the Arsenal defense is simply not there. It doesn't exist. I'm so disappointed with the way Vermaelen has been played. I believe that Vermaelen is a fantastic player. If not, he's one of the best in England. He's a very elegant defender. He's very intelligent. But to play him on the left-hand side of defense, you simply render him useless, because Vermaelen cannot move forward and provide the width that you need for a left back. When you look at the Bayern Munich right backs or full backs, look at David Alaba, the Australian. Is so good with the ball. Every time he gets the ball, he plays in the likes of Ribery, he plays in the likes of Thomas Muller. So he brings numbers to the Bayern attack. Look at Philipp Lahm on the other side when he's playing with Frank Ribery or Robben. I mean, the way the right backs move is so explosive and so adventurous that Bayern Munich at some point will attack you with 8 players, including the fullbacks. Now, what does Arsenal have to offer? Apart from Willy Sanya playing, maybe trying to make some surging runs, the left back is dead. The center-backs cannot move. Kosenli cannot move. Matasaka cannot move. Now, look at their holding midfield role. If you're going to play Ramsey as a holding midfielder and Arteta, two holding midfielders, these guys cannot defend. That's why that goal, when you look at the first goal, if you look at it once again, I'd like to explain why that goal happened. When you look at the circumstances under which Toni Kroos was found alone, it's because Arsenal does not have a proper holding midfielder. A player who babysits the defense. A player who protects that defense is not there. Now, when the center-backs receive that ball, that 50-50 ball, you either have to commit yourself like Pamataseka was doing. We know he's not the fastest defender. He tried to commit himself, but Toni Kroos was a little bit faster and was closer to the ball, and he scored that goal. Now, we've been talking about Arsenal losing players. Now, the greatest mistake that Arsenal did, their greatest undoing, was to lose Alex Song. Now, Alex Song is a player. If you look at, if the producer can give us that Bayern Munich second goal, probably you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. That goal shouldn't have happened if Arsenal had a holding midfielder who can really try to clear up that space in the hole, like you like to look at it. Probably a little bit behind. You'll understand exactly. Look at that ball. When that ball comes, that's the second goal. I'm talking about the first goal that was scored by Toni Kroos. Look at that. Acres of space for Toni Kroos. He was not marked. No one could commit a challenge. And of course, when you look at the center backs, they are always away from that penalty box. And that's exactly what happened. Look at Pamataseka. Look at Toni Kroos. He's not marked. And that's a goal. Goal number one. I'm trying to explain the fact that if Arsenal do not buy a holding midfielder, this is the kind of thing they're going to have. They put a lot of pressure on the defense. And what can you do? You're the last man. You have to commit. And when you commit, there are no chances that you'll get that ball. That's what happened. Now, for Bayern Munich, what's the strength of Bayern Munich? Bayern Munich came to the Emirates and they knew that Arsenal was not good enough. What do they have to do? We take the game to Arsenal. But what do? Bayern starts very tactfully. They don't rush into attacking in the first 15 minutes. They were simply sizing up Arsenal in the first 5 to 10 minutes. They were sizing up Arsenal. They were soaking them up. And when they got the opportunity, they got them on the break. And the thing that you must notice about this Bayern side, any player on this team can score. If Mario Mandzukic doesn't score, Thomas Muller will score, Toni Kroos will score, Arjen Robben will score, Frank Ribery will score, Dante will score. Why am I saying this? There have been 10 different scorers in the Champions League for Bayern Munich. In fact, yesterday, Mario Mandzukic, who is the leading top scorer in the Bundesliga, had not scored a goal before yesterday. He scored the 10th different goal. That means 10 different players in Bayern have scored in the Champions League. I'm talking about Thomas Muller, Mandzukic, Frank Ribery, Schweinsteiger, Dante, Gustavo. All those players have scored. So it means that Bayern has the ability to get goals from anywhere. But also, what's the strength of Bayern? There's a lot of strength. The quality, which is a given, but the variety with which Bayern plays. They use the wing play. Like clearly you can see, look at Philipp Lahm on that right-hand side of midfield. He's a defender, by the way. But look at the distance he covers from defense to Arsenal's half. The fact that Bayern can play with wingers, they can play in the middle, they can play with set pieces. Look at this from Arsenal. I mean, that defense for me cannot do anything. Look at Philipp Lahm. Look at the distance. Look at him tracking back. That's a very good play from the producer. Even makes it better. Look at Arjen Robben. He dummies them. Look at the Arsenal defense. Acres of space from the captain. He simply slots the ball home for Mario Mandzukic to dummy that ball and of course make it 3-0. That was the final nail in Arsenal's coffin. The third goal simply puts the ball beyond doubt. Now, I'll open up the lines for you right now. I know that so many people would like to comment about this match. I was very positive, not because most people think I'm a Bayern Munich fan, but I would have said the same for Arsenal. I think if Arsenal was playing the way Bayern was playing, I would have given them kudos. But they are not. And I think Arsenal have a very, very big problem. They have to improve in terms of retaining players. They have sold out all their best players. There is no way you can sell out Robin van Persie. There is no way you can sell out Alex Song and you think you can compete in Europe. It's unheard of. You can't do that. Now, of course, like I told you today, we are getting another big match. AC Milan taking on, of course, Barcelona. AC Milan have won the European Championship, of course, a record 7 times. They've won it in 1963, 1969, 1989, 1990. 1994, 2003, and 2007. Those are the counts. But Barcelona, of course, are one of those sides that have also won it. In fact, the only side that beats AC Milan in terms of winning trophies is Real Madrid, who have won it, of course, 9 times. They are the only side that have won the trophy 9 times, and of course, they are the leading in terms of trophies. They have won it a record 9 times, and of course, we know about Filippo Inzaghi having scored in all the finals. Barcelona have won it 4 times. They won it in 1992 when they beat AC Milan. They beat AC Milan 4-0 in that final. So many of you remember that great Barcelona side that beat AC Milan 4-0 in the final of 1992 European Championship. They went ahead to beat Arsenal in 2006. You remember that final properly, where they beat Arsenal 2-1. And of course, they managed to beat the likes of Manchester United along the way in 2009, and of course managed to win another in, of course, 2011. But today we are looking at a completely different game. Messi so far has scored 48 goals this season, and we are looking at him continuing to score goals. I don't think Lionel Messi is going to stop scoring goals. Now, the difference between the two sides is simple. As much as AC Milan has got some good players like Kevin Prince Boateng, I think he's going to be a very important player in this game. They have got players like Stephen Al-Sharawi, the Italian international. He has scored so far 15 goals for the club in the league. I think he's a fantastic player. But the problem with AC Milan is the fact that I know that Felipe Mexis is very good at the back, but when you look at the other departments in their defense, they are not as very strong as they used to be. I'm trying to compare the yesteryear's defense, the ones that had the likes of Baresi, the ones that had the likes of Maldini, the one that had the likes of Andreas Iniesta, Nesta, and so many others. I'm looking at the defense that is patched up. Remember, they lost out on Thiago Silva to PSG. That was a very big blow for AC Milan. I'm not very sure whether they have what it takes to contain the attacking power of of Barcelona. Barcelona will attack you with 7 players, and if you don't have strong defenders, you're going to have a bit of a problem. Now, how does AC Milan approach this game? I know that AC Milan are going to be highly tactical. I know that Maximiliano Allegri knows that he can't afford to open up even when he's playing at home. He has to play a very highly defensive game, probably play on a counter-attack. Now, Barcelona, we all know, they never play defensive. They'll go at Milan, they will attack them, and in the final analysis, Barcelona will be on top. Now, if you ask for my prediction about this game, I think Barcelona have a slight edge in terms of quality, in terms of form, in terms of everything. It's Barcelona. I believe that it will be a hard game. Barcelona will not come and run over AC Milan at the San Siro, but they will have an edge over AC Milan because AC Milan is in the process of rebuilding. They are not very much acute in terms of experience. They don't have players who can change games instantly because they don't have many of that caliber. Remember, they lost out on Andrea Pirlo to Juventus, so they've lost out on barely every experienced player, and I think they'll have a bit of a problem. Let me just open up the lines for you on 0312-265-321, and you give your prediction about the Champions League matches. In the other match, Galatasaray Schalke, I must say that's another tricky game.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Let me take the phone call. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm fine. How are you?
Fine. Thank you for the program.
You're welcome. Arsenal, Bayern Munich, your comment. I think we missed that. Yeah, sorry. Sorry, we missed out on that call. I think there's a bit of a problem with the phone and all that. We can take another caller. 0312-265-321. Hello. Yes, good morning. Try and move away from your TV set.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
It's okay right now. This is Ampton.
Yes, Ampton.
Yeah, I have to agree with you and also disagree with you. I agree with you that selling Song, at most especially for me the amount, 15 million.
Yeah.
Because if you had gotten something like 35 million, that makes sense.
Yeah.
15 million really was so bad.
Yeah.
And now going to the match, when I looked at it, it looks like a game where Arsenal did most of the playing, more especially in the second half. But Bayern was doing most of the scoring. Probably Bayern was more technical and more mature. Because most of the goals that were scored against Arsenal could be avoided. If they were about to defensive mix-ups, they looked a little bit scrappy. There was no real goal where you see Bayern working up and getting that goal and you say, oh my God, this has been a move. there was no that goal. But also let us recognize that in second half, if it's about playing and passing the ball, really Arsenal did a good job. I'm not a fan of Arsenal, but I look at
they tried to pass the ball, yes.
Yeah, but really they did a good job. They passed it.
But Hampton, if you watch the game properly, I know you did. When you look at the first half, Arsenal had the possession, but how many shots on goal did they have? I mean, it's not important to have possession, but they are what we call important areas of the game. That's the last quarter. Arsenal did not take the last quarter.
I totally.
Bayern kept them in the middle. They soaked them up, engulfed them, and that was the business.
I agree with you totally. I believe Bayern was better than Arsenal in totality. But what I was alluding to, when you began today the program, you said the three best passing teams. You talked of Barcelona, you talked of Madrid and Bayern Munich. If a person watched the game yesterday,
yes,
put Bayern Munich among those teams.
I know.
They were not a passing
but
team.
They were playing away from home. They were playing away from home.
Oh yeah, and I totally understand you. But you understand what I'm talking about.
I understand what you're saying. Yesterday, Arsenal seemed to be passing the ball better than Bayern.
Better than Bayern, but they were not doing the important things.
Precisely. Thank you very much.
About Barcelona and AC Milan, I believe it's going to be a draw.
It's going to be a draw.
1-1.
Okay, thank you very much, Hampton. Yeah, Hampton raises very key things. In terms of possession, by the way, Arsenal is a very good passing side. But when it comes to European football, what we call continental football, it's not about passing. It's about the technique that you're going to apply in a game. The way you play in the Bundesliga is not the same way you play in Europe, because it's different style of football. That's why Bayern gets it right. Bayern knew that they were not there for a what you'd call a popularity contest. You are not there to show people that you're passing the ball. You need to do what they call a professional job. Get this Arsenal team into areas where they just can't hurt you, and you saw the first half. Manuel Neuer was simply having a field day. He was sleeping, barely. He could not touch the ball in the first half. Now, when you look at the shots on goal, Bayern had 17 shots on target, on goal, on target. And Arsenal had how many? A home team, only 8. Now, in terms of corners, Bayern was beating them. In terms of course, ball possession, Arsenal had 56 compared to 41. But if you cannot convert the possession, the question is, where were you possessing the ball from? You are possessing the ball in your own quarter. That's the problem. Now, Bayern got it right. When you possess the ball, you must be in the opponent's half. That's when you hurt them the most. And that's what we need to learn from this game. It doesn't matter whether you possess the ball or not. You must be able to convert the possession into goals. Let me get another call online. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Jebali ko goes.
Kale sebo nawe Jebali.
Mike Ekifasi.
Yes, Mike. Nchimanyi oli musanyu kunyo.
Kesho kati ku record. Ntitinga zaako Arsenal zina soka zaako B. Bradford, Blackburn, ne Bayern Munich timu ya Katonda.
Ne musajja.
Awakizi Arsenal. Namala wiki namba nga bagamba bajjakaba. Inga tebakkiriza. Abampuliza kufafa tuna bagamba goals zijja kuba 3.
Wali mutufu.
Wali mutufu
Michael.
Zabade goals 3. Bacha ina ebyokola bingi ne Bayern yo eri mu kiti kyayo.
Kitufu.
Webale kuweereza.
Webale nyo Michael. Bale ekitufu kiri nti waliwo olina okukkiriza. Bane tuve mu byokujerega. Timu ya Arsenal yaggwamu gemazima. Lwaki yaggwamu? Batunda abazanyi baabe bonna abalungi ne babejjako. Tosobola kutunda Van Persie, tosobola kutunda Fabregas, tosobola kutunda Alex Song. Nolozo no competing ne Bayern. Ne teams zonendala mu Europe. Ne United bojirawa. United temala gatunda bazanyi bayo, by the way. Yensonga lwaki United ne wankwadde nayo sinungi nnyo. Sijja gikuliriza nnyo. Naye at least abazanyi babalungi babasigaza. Ferguson bwatandika ne league nga ina Vidic, nga ina Ferdinand, aina Evra, alina kati yayongeddeko Van Persie, aina Wayne Rooney, aina bazanyi mwe 7 babadde nabo seasons ez'omuddiringanya. Kitegeeza nti team ebegumye. Ne kati goyongeddemu Kazola, oyongeddemu Giroud, oyongeddemu Podolski, oyongeddemu Muriel, oyongeddemu kwagamba team tebeera na consistency. Ekyo Arsene Wenger bwatakifunde bannange nawadde ndaba nabo omupiira bangambye nti timu ene Arsenal yetaaga Sala kubanga Arsene Wenger first of all teri asobola mugambako n'omupiira guno bale singa Bayern gye bakubye goal 3 coach wa Bayern nchawa ndi mugambe sebo tandika okusibamu ebibyo tandika okusibamu ebibyo kubanga ffe club yaffe tetuyinza kkiriza tukuba mu kisaawe kyaffe omubbi ajja ateekewo n'akubbako ebintu n'akusiba emiguwa na kikaabya amaziga naye katugende mu maaso n'amasimu. Hello 0312265321. Hello mwagala okuteesa ku mupiira guno gwa Arsenal mbategeeza nti leero tugenda kulaba ba.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
This is Joe.
Yes, this is Joe. On
No, I'm saying I'm also Joe.
Namesake.
Of course, I have to call and gloss over those Arsenal fans.
Yes.
You see, I think this supers. I think TV has so much blinded most of the fans in Uganda.
Yeah.
I think they watch the Premiership and they think that they're into football, and that is their major problem. I do not see how anyone in their proper understanding would even have the audacity to put money on Arsenal. Surely.
I know. I told guys it was a sure win. Me, I don't know. There are guys who have called me in the morning and told me, man, I'm a businessman. I'm a rich man.
How can you have a sure win on Arsenal again in that match? How would you have the audacity to put money on Arsenal in that match? It's because you are so blinded by the Premier League and you don't see any other league, and so you think the Premier League is the A and
actually, Joe, you have hit the nail where it hurts most. The problem, or not a problem, how can I call it? People are so much into the Premier League that they have closed the other eye to what's happening elsewhere, and that's the problem.
And that was their problem. But if they had even listened to Wenger when the draw was made, they would have known they had no choice. Because even him, he was kind of reserved when the draw was pulled out of the hat. He was kind of reserved, and yesterday, even after the match in the press conference, he more or less had thrown in the towel. He knew not much they are going to do at the Allianz Arena. But I still watch a few Arsenal fans and they're saying, we are coming to the Allianz Arena, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, are you people serious?
I know.
So anyway, that's my thought.
Thank you very much, Joe. Of course, they are
observation.
Yeah.
My thought.
Thank you very much, Joe.
I think it would. I don't know if you first answered all the phone calls and maybe made a note somewhere and then you responded to them after, then we would have more phone calls.
Okay, that's a good one. And of course, I'll have to end it at that. But it's been exciting. Thank you very much, whoever has called in. I think it's been very exciting, not because I'm a Bayern Munich fan, but because we saw some great football yesterday. And of course, my condolences to all Arsenal fans out there. You will lose something, you win something. It's football. It's not a matter of life and death. You can move on tomorrow and have a good day tomorrow. But you have to take your lessons. You have to learn your lessons. And I know that Arsene Wenger is watching this show because NBS is on Ustream. You can watch us live on the internet. I know he's watching this show. He has to change his tactics. He has to change the way he thinks about the team, especially in Europe. So I think it's one of those things. But take heart. It's part of the game. Maybe next time Arsenal will be on top. That's a consolation, isn't it? My name is Joe Chigozi. You've been watching Premier Sports. Enjoy the rest of the programming.